Nano Machine. Bai, Ang Hong Guolya. Chapter 333. Return to the Demonic Cult. Part 1. 3 Mountains, southwestern side of Kangso Castle. This mountain was located near the Yangtze River, which ran through the middle of the mountain and split into 2. With 3 peaks in the north and south side, that contributed to its name. And near the mountain, there was a large palace-like mansion. The size of the mansion would have the name of something that showed what it was, but it had no name. Its outer wall was placed like a giant maze, with over 26 small and big buildings scattered over the entire premise. And in the middle of everything, there was the main building. Inside this building, there was an office with a middle-aged man with long hair and narrow eyes listening to a briefing. But he didn't seem too happy to hear what was being told. After listening to it for a while, the man asked, "So, you are saying the centipede for Ebec exploded?" "Yes, sir." "And you did not go down there to pick it up?" The man said it, but the one who was reporting understood what it was. It was referring to the treasure that was left by their founder. "No, sir." The man answered, and the middle-aged man banged on the desk with his fist. The fist wielded powerful energy that shattered the desk immediately. As the middle-aged man showed his discomfort for the first time, the man flinched and became afraid. "Then you should have at least went down there and picked up the body." "I am sorry, sir." The middle-aged man was angry at the death of the man named Ebec. Of course, it was because this middle-aged man was the brother of the dead Ebec, Ewok. "We sent agents who were nearby immediately to search, but we couldn't find the sword master's body. And we didn't find any of his soldiers' bodies either." Ewok raised his eyebrows. "What? The entire sword group squadron disappeared?" It was a group of 150 elite warriors, with a superior master-level leader. Their power was enough to make 3 or 4 clans extinct in just one night. "Not all, sir. There are 105 bodies missing, with 59 bodies that fell into the hands of the Blue Sky Brotherhood." Blue Sky Brotherhood? They did this? Ewok seemed unconvinced. When Ebec was ordered to go down to the Sword Creek, he had investigated the forces residing within Sword Creek already. They found out that one of their officers was staying by the hidden mansion, but other than that, they only had 40 men. "That's impossible. That's not enough to defeat our entire squadron." "There were no other signs of any other forces from the Blue Sky Brotherhood making a move, sir. It seems someone else is involved in this." "Arg. Who dares to interrupt our work?" They had eyes on every faction of the entire Jianghu very closely. Starting with the forces of evil, the demonic cult, and Yilan forces of justice and its secret organization Blue Sky Brotherhood were all carefully kept on watch. But none of them made any movements. "If we didn't even get the book, then my brother just died in vain." Ewok was more furious that his brother had died without achieving anything. If he was able to find out who was behind this, he wanted to go and rip the culprit apart to kill him. That's when the man who was reporting pulled something out from his back. "I know you must be furious, but please keep calm. Blade Master told me to give it to you." "What's this?" It was a scroll wrapped with red silk and golden dragon embroidery. Even the rope that tied the scroll was made of gold color. "This is the letter you've been waiting for." "Ah." Ewok quickly untied the rope and opened up the scroll and checked it out. It was a letter with beautiful writing, marked with a dignified-looking seal at the end. "So, the third step of the grand plan will now begin." His eyes shook with excitement. He had been waiting for this time for so long. But it was also sad that his brother wasn't here to walk the same path. After reading through the letter, Ewok frowned. "Tonghu Bay? Isn't this bottom of the place? Aren't we doing it in that place? I heard it's not always there." "Well, I guess we don't need to take such risk. It doesn't matter. Whatever the location is, the plan is always the same." Ewok clenched his fist. He had been hungry for blood to ease his anger anyway. The northern outpost of the demonic cult at the Honam region. An old woman was wailing and mourning while she hugged a baby tightly. She was the muscular old lady, godly Dr. Gamrosu. She had been crying so hard that her face was red and eyes were swollen. The baby in her arms was also crying heavily that the second guest house was filled with noise. In front of them, a man with an eye patch stood. It was 4th Elder Young Danwa. Gamrosu had been crying for over 20 minutes, with the baby crying and sometimes stopping before starting to cry again. She must be really sad. It was easy to see why Gamrosu was crying so hard, as she was crying by the body of her granddaughter Gammayan. There was no way she would be okay to find her granddaughter, who she wanted to rescue so badly, return with a dead body. Yang Danwa volunteered to do this, but it was frustrating nonetheless. He didn't think the wailing and mourning would last for days. After wailing for a long time, Gamrosu held the baby in her arms and caressed Gammayan's cold face and mumbled. How dare they kill my granddaughter? I will never forgive them. Chapter 334. Return to the Demonic Cult. Part 2. Gamrosu was told that the Blue Sky Brotherhood killed her granddaughter. It was a lie, but it was better that way as Yowen and their group couldn't bring Gammayan back alive, as it was certain that she would try to get in the way in any way possible. It's good that she still has her grandson. That was huge in this case, as Gamrosu grieved the death of her granddaughter. The existence of her granddaughter's son would ensure that Gamrosu would not make extreme choices. It was likely that she would live to avenge and raise her only family. Those devils. Gamrosu wailed heavily as she cried vengefully, and Yang Danwa thought as she looked on, keep that anger within you for the great demonic cult. It could feel bad to lie and use her like this, but they were not forces of justice. This was the way of the demonic cult. At the same time, in the medical room by the main building of the outpost, there was a room with many beds. On one of them, a silver-haired woman was sitting on it, while talking with someone. They were Martial Dual Sword Wong Jing and his daughter, Wong Yogen. Her cheeks now had a reddish tint as her condition normalized, and Wong Jing seemed to be really happy to see his daughter well. Her hair was still silver in color, but that was okay. Wong Jing had waited to see this moment for so long. Gayan. Our child is so beautiful. Wong Yogen's beauty doubled as she recovered from being weak and pale. She was already very beautiful while she was deathly pale, but now she was like a flower that any man would be tempted to take. It was likely that she would easily be considered one of 3 most beautiful women in the entire Yulin. Wong Jing had been coughing since while ago. It's good that she became healthy, but they had been talking and chatting until a while ago, but now they were dead silent. It was time to speak about an important issue that they didn't really want to talk about. Wong Yogen had to sleep with Chun Yowen for her treatment against her will. Wong Yogen knew this and understood this fact. She actually woke up during the act, and she also vaguely remembered what happened when she went berserk. But even if it was an act of medical treatment, it was man and woman having a relationship, so they had to talk about marriage. Lord Chun is enough as a candidate. Wong Jing asked for the treatment to save his daughter at first, but he came to like Yowen more as he got to know him. Yowen seemed like the best son-in-law now that he thought about it. He's really powerful too. After the duel, Wong Jing now knew that Yowen was like a monster. Yowen was still young, but he had defeated Wong Jing. Even if Wong Jing did not use all of his skills, there was no way to deny that he had lost. There's a monster in the east, but Lord Chun might be the strongest warrior of the entire Yulin in the end. There weren't many who were titled as the strongest warrior in Yulin history. But it seemed very possible that Yowen might just be the one, as he was still very young. And since he was the leader of one of 3 largest factions of Yulin, it was likely that his daughter would be safe in Yowen's hands. I know you might not like this, but maybe he is your destiny. There was a chance that his daughter would refuse, but there was no choice. Wong Jing didn't want his daughter to live in solitude either. Wong Jing decided and opened his mouth to speak. Yogen, father. Huh? It seemed Yogen had something to say too. That was why she had been looking down, not meeting her father's eyes until now. After a bit of hesitation, she spoke. I heard you lost to Lord Chun. Is that true? Wong Jing frowned. He had not talked about this issue to her because of his pride as a warrior and father. Who told you that? A man named Hu Bong told me. Ha! That fool. Wong Jing became furious when he heard the name. He didn't think that Hu Bong might have told the result to his daughter. It seemed that Hu Bong, when he came to fetch godly Dr. Gamrosu, spoke a few things to Yogen. At least Yogen did not talk about the fact that Hu Bong addressed her as lady, as if Yogen had already married Yowen. That part was omitted in her explanation. So, it was true. She was really surprised as the reaction of her father confirmed it. His father was not a talkative type, but was very revealing on what he thought from his emotions. The way he was acting was absolute proof that he actually lost to Yowen. Wong Jing became angry at Hu Bong, who spilled his loss to others like this, but he pushed it down and tried to speak what he wanted to say at first. Yogen, Father, I've decided. If you allow me, I want to go with Lord Chun. What? Wong Jing became dumbfounded when his daughter claimed to want to go with Chun Yowen first. Chapter 335. Return to the Demonic Cult. Part 3. Wong Jing became dumbfounded at the unexpected reaction from his daughter. What? Wong Yogen told him the exact thing that he himself wanted her to do, but it didn't feel all that good to hear her say it willingly. As far as he knew, his daughter was not the type to fall in love just because she had slept with a man. She did not have a mother growing up, but Wong Jing raised her well. Are you saying that because I lost to Lord Chen? If that was the reason, that could have been very disappointing and sad. Of course, Wang Yogen was a person living in Yulin who might admire a powerful martial artist, and considering the fact that Chen Yuan was young and handsome with the potential to become the strongest warrior of Yulin, it certainly was possible that Yogen might fall in love. But what she said next surprised Wang Jing. No. Do you think I'd fall for him for such a reason? Then why? I heard from that Hu Bong and also from Bun that Lord Chen had a lover and still helped me regardless. It seemed Yogen had heard a lot of things in detail when she woke up. Wang Jing was more hesitant on explaining Mun Ku to her rather than proceeding with marriage, but Yogen already knew about her. It isn't easy to do something like that when you have a lover, even if you want to save someone's life. Wang Yogen blushed. Wang Jing frowned from unknown jealousy. Don't you mind about that? Men are not as innocent and pure as you might think. I told you multiple times. Of course, Wang Jing knew that Yoan was not that type as he noticed that Yoan was concerned about Mun Ku. But he just said it anyway. You are a man too. I'm not like any other man. Yogen smiled at her father's concerning words. Of course you are not like any other man. But I think you've made a mistake. Huh? I'm not saying I will need to marry Lord Chen just because I did that. What? Wang Jing frowned at Yogen's unexpected words. If Yogen was not thinking about getting married to Yoan, then why was she going to follow him into the cult? Yogen continued, Lord Chen saved my life. I would have died if it wasn't for his help. How could I just ignore that debt? Yogen. Are you saying? Something was strange. Her words implied that she wanted to join Yoan as a servant, not as a wife. And Wang Jing's guess was right. Yes. I want to repay the debt for saving my life by entering the demonic cult. You always said debts must be paid. Wang Jing sighed at the unexpected turn of events. He had not expected this kind of reaction from his daughter. Yogen. Do you know what you are saying? I'll be frank. Even if it was to save your life, you and Lord Chen still slept together. And you do not want to marry him? Instead, you just want to join the cult? Father. I am a woman living in Yulin. I don't want to get married only because I slept with a guy once. Besides, he has a lover. Nonsense. Him having a lover doesn't stop you from marrying him. You are the daughter of Wang Jing. Why would you just be a servant? He had many enemies and lived in hiding, but he still was one of the top 5 strongest warriors of Yulin. He had fame and honor. If he chose to join in any faction, then it was likely that he would be welcomed with open arms. If you are not happy with becoming a second wife, then I will talk with Lord Chen about that, so... Gosh, it's not about that. Listen to me. Wang Yogen burst out angrily. Wang Jing became dumbfounded as his daughter, who never raised her voice to him, started shouting back. Father. If you have to marry just because you slept with a guy, all women must be in danger. Everyone will try to sleep with a girl they like so they can marry. She was confident and smart. Her point was also logical, and that made Wang Jing be at a loss for words. I'm not that kind of woman. Besides, I have to know the person before I can even think about marriage. I suppose you are right. Wang Jing answered, and Yogen continued, and I want you and Bun to come with me. What? You promised that you would protect me and Bun for mother's sake. In the end, Yogen was saying the entire family to join the demonic cult. Wang Jing, who was just dumbfounded and shocked by unexpected words, now realized what was going on. He just thought his daughter was having weird ideas, but that wasn't it. She was just... Yogen was screaming, as if she was fighting her father, but her eyes showed that she had hopes and concerns. Wang Jing finally realized what her goal was from the beginning. You always have to look out for us while we hide from forces of evil and justice. It should be safer if we go to the demonic cult. Wang Jing went into hiding only because he wanted to protect his children. He had to reveal himself because he thought his daughter was kidnapped, but he had never revealed his identity to others until now, even when he was one of the most famous martial artists. That made Yogen sad. Her father had the power and fame to live a life fitting for his position, but he sacrificed everything for his children. Father will follow me if I say this much. She was raised very well by Wang Jing, and grew up to be very considerate. What she was doing was to give her father a reason to join the cult without bending his will. His father was from the forces of justice, so he did not have a good impression of the demonic cult, but they realized the cult wasn't much different from the others after all. My child has grown to be a very considerate and warm adult. Gayan, our girl has grown a lot. Wang Jing felt his heart warm up from Yogen's thoughts. He then realized it was actually stupid to force marriage upon them just because his daughter had slept with Chun Yowen. It was better that she work for Yowen to repay the debt. If that is your wish, you leave me with no choice. If you do not have any feelings for Lord Chun, then do what his wish. Wong Jing coughed but brightened his face. He was especially glad that his daughter was concerned about him, not the man whom his daughter had slept with. But Yogen's next comment made Wong Jing frown. I am not sure yet. I might come to like him if given some time. Yogen blushed as she said and looked away. Wong Jing frowned and soon laughed. Chapter 336. Return to the Demonic Cult. Part 4. On the third outpost guest house, Chun Yowen was talking with second elder In Moha. She had been out of the post for a full day, and returned just about 30 minutes ago. Before Yowen went to the Yongo family's village, Yowen told Gam Rosu about the patient's symptoms without telling who the patient was. Yowen already scanned the patient, Chun Yujong, before, so he told every detail on the abnormalities he found, and Gam Rosu presumed the condition to be damage in the heart. Do you have these herbs in the cult? Luckily, Yowen had a list of herbs stored within the cult when he searched for opium poppy, so he realized what he was missing and told In Moha to fetch the missing herbs that Gam Rosu asked for. Herbs on the table were those In Moha returned with. I was able to gather everything Granny Gam asked for. But, please forgive me for I wasn't by your side when all these things happened, my lord. It's okay. It all worked out. In Moha's presence would not have changed anything as all of it started from the treatment to the duel with Wong Jing that was unexpected. In Moha then knelt on one of her knees and bowed. And congratulations on becoming one of the strongest warriors of Yulin. As she said, Yowen had won against martial dual sword Wong Jing and was now equal to the top 5 strongest warriors of Yulin. Unlike Chun Yujong, who was under the influence of blood reversion art, this duel was a normal duel that both individuals fought the best in. In Moha was glad to hear this news. We have all that we need. It's time we return to the cult. The trip had extended for quite a bit as Yowen took many detours along the way. The only thing left was to bring the godly doctor back to the cult. That's when someone knocked on the door. My lord. There is a guest. Come in. Yowen permitted and a young man with black clothing came in. He then knelt on his one knee to bow. Greetings, my lord. Who are you? Yowen asked and the man replied, My lord, Elder Huan sends an urgent message. Elder Huan. The man was an agent of a covert operations group that was led by Huan Yi. If this agent had to come forward, then it meant there was an important message at stake. Covert operations usually used telepathic messages to send messages unless it was an official report being made. After hearing the man's telepathic message, Yowen frowned. We must return at once. The information was about unexpected guests heading toward the mountain of 10,000. That afternoon, Yowen ordered to prepare for an immediate return to the demonic cult. He went north on horseback, but this time he prepared a horse-led carriage. Originally, they planned to have a funeral for Gam Rosu's granddaughter Gam Mayan before they left, but they had to hurry, so Yowen promised a grand funeral ceremony in the cult and persuaded Gam Rosu to leave now. That required a carriage to carry the coffin that contained Gam Mayan's body. The coffin was loaded on the carriage with Gam Rosu staying closely by it with the baby in her hands. With all preparations done, it was now time to leave. Yowen then headed to the medical room along with 2 elders In Moha and Yang Danwa to ask the Wong family on what to do. I want to deal with this when we are preparing a funeral. Wong Jing mentioned marriage due to the event. Since Yogen was the only person that Mun Ku allowed, Yowen was to talk things out with Wong Jing and sort out the problem slowly. But with them needing to leave now, the plan had to change. However, the unexpected happened when Yowen got to the medical room. How can this be? In Moha and Yang Danwa became so shocked that their mouths opened wide. Wong Jing, Wong Bun, and Wong Yogen all went down on their knees and asked to join the cult. Sir Wong Jing. Lord Chun, please accept us. How can I repay the debt for saving my daughter's life other than that? Please allow me to so I can repay it. This was a sight that couldn't be seen anywhere. Yang Danwa was really glad for the unexpected turn of events. He was actually going to ask Yowen so that he would marry Yogen, which would result in having Wong Jing siding with them. But they were requesting to join the cult voluntarily. This is unexpected. Yowen seemed surprised. This was better than the marriage option, but it was curious. Is it her will? Yowen turned to Yogen. When their eyes met, Yogen became blushed and looked away. She was embarrassed to look at the man with whom she slept with. The reaction showed that she had some feelings toward him. That's when Yowen heard Wong Jing's telepathic message. Humph, Lord Chun, we will talk about marriage in the future. Isn't it better for you two to get to know each other better before we talk about marriage? And this confirmed that the decision was primarily from Wang Yogen. This was really unexpected. I didn't imagine this. She was very beautiful, but Yoan was not interested in other women, so he didn't feel any different until now. But he now became curious about Yogen, who seemed to be different from other women, just like Mun Ku. Yoan the nodded. Okay, Sir Wong Jing. Wong Jing became satisfied with the response. Yoan then bowed. How can I not welcome the martial dual sword wanting to join our cult? Please join us, and help meet our cult. Welcome. Wong Jing brightened up and spoke. Thank you for accepting us. My lord. With that decided, Wang Jing immediately addressed Yoan as his rightful lord. At the same time, toward the southern side of the Honam Castle region, there was a large parade heading toward the Mountain of 10,000. In the middle of the parade, there was a lavish golden carriage guarded by countless soldiers. These people were not martial artists, but real soldiers from the government. The red flag that was hung up high had the imperial palace's seal on it,